Forms are very important aspects of any website, and they are very necessary to some extent. You can see forms in many websites. I have one example right in front of me. For example, this is a very small form in a website that I built, that user can put their name, their email, and a message to send, and the website owners will get an email to contact with specific user. You can see this form is very small and very simplistic. But let me show you one other example of like a bigger and a complex form. This is also another website that I have built, and this one is big because it collects a lot of data and a lot of features this form has. So we can create these kinds of forms with Webflow also, and it is very crucial that you understand that how forms work and how we can use them in Webflow, because you will be using these kind of forms in your other projects also. So let's go to Webflow, and if I go to the add section, if I scroll down, there's a specific section here called forms, and forms is a kind of collection of multiple elements. For example, there's a label element, input element, text area, checkbox, reCAPTCHA, many other elements we have. And Webflow by default give us a form block which already consists 2 or 3 kind of elements to build a very small form. So let's drag this to our canvas, and you can see here we have form settings and we have 2 fields, 1 button, 2 labels. So this is kind of like a very basic form. We can populate this form with other elements from that forms area. But right now, first we are going to talk about this area. So form majorly consists of like input fields. You have input fields and a submit button. Whatever data you are going to collect from this area, you can, after clicking this submit button, you can send that data to a specific area. So this is what forms are made for. So first, let's understand what are input fields. Now, input fields can be different type of input fields. You can give them a specific name for your arrangement, for your understanding. Also, the system is going to understand what kind of field this is. So, for example, the user is trying to collect a name of a person from this field. Now, understand that this label has nothing to do with this name area. Okay, if I change name of person, it's not going to change the label because this label itself is another field. Right now, if I change it from name of a person, okay, it has no connection here. This is for the backend purposes. For example, this name area, this name field is detected inside the form. Now now input fields, now text fields has different types. For example, it can collect plain text without any checks. It can collect different kind of types. Let me show you another type. For example, this is saying email address. That means this area is to fill up your email address data. For example, if I go to the settings tab, now you can see the type of this text field is email. Why? Because what's going to happen if some user is going to put an email here, it's just going to check its format. Remember one thing, this field is not going to validate your email. For example, if you have put a correct email in that field, also it's not going to check that. It's just going to check the format. For example, you forgot to put @ or maybe .com, or your domain is wrong, like domain structure is wrong. So this is what it's going to do. It's going to check it right away before submitting anything. Okay. And now there are other types. For example, you can change it to like password, phone number, and the number. This is like a landline number, and this is a phone kind of number. So these fields are very useful for the basic checks, and all of these fields have their own purpose of like checking, validating your your input data. Like password, they're going to check the format of that password. Now fields can also have different settings. For example, placeholder. And for example, if you want to have some kind of placeholder here, for example, your email. Okay, and if I try to fill this, for example, if I go to my preview play button, for example, if I try to fill this now, if I start typing, that placeholder is gone. Okay, now we also have other settings here, for example, required and autofocus. Now what required does is, for example, if you submit this button without filling this area, it's not going to let you, because this field is a required must. For example, if I play this and if this field is not required, for example, if I put up a name, Anil, okay, and then if I leave this field empty and if I try to submit, it's giving us a message, please fill out this field, and because this is a required field, and this button, this submission form is not going to work if any field is set to required. Okay, so the next setting is autofocus. Now if I enable this and if I preview this, what's going to happen if I go to the published website? This field is going to be already in focus whenever anybody comes to this specific area. So for now, I'm just not going to use this autofocus. Now, forms can also have different states. Now, let's go to the form setting and understand a different kind of purpose. For example, if you have a form and if you submit your data, how you're going to know that your data has been submitted, this form has done its job, or it run into some error? So for that purpose, forms have different states. For example, if anybody comes to your website, they're going to see this form. Okay. Now, for example, if a user comes to your form and submits and fill out this form and submits the data, we need to show some success message to them. For that purpose, we have success state. Okay. And after, if anybody submits your form, you will see one success message here. For example, thank you, your submission has been received. Now, for example, if you run into some error, I don't know, the settings are not working, or maybe we can go from here. Yeah, form settings. This is a field, this is a form. Yeah, if I go to, for some reason, the form settings here, the pop-up not working, so we are on the right side. Now, for example, if you run into some error, it's going to show you one message like this underneath the form. Oops, something went wrong while submitting the form. So we can manage and change the design of these states, and we can also change the written text, what we want to show anybody if something goes wrong, or if we want to show something, for example, if success message is there, what we want to show. For example, for the success message, we can change the style of the background color. For example, maybe green. So somebody thinks that, okay, this is a success message. And for the error message, for the form settings and for the error message, we can change the text color, for example, to the red, and like this, and this changes like error. Now let's publish the website and then see how this works. We have never talked about publishing the website properly. If I go to this preview section, this is not publishing the website. This is just a preview section. But the forms kind of work properly when we publish the website. So to publish the website, if we go on the right side in the top bar, if we go to this publish button, we have this staging domain. For example, if you have any URL of your own or your domain, if you're going to attach it to your Webflow, it's going to show up here. By default, Webflow gives us some basic domain. Now, if you want to publish it, you just have to click this publish button and wait for the process to happen. And now it says publish a few seconds ago. This website is published. Now you just have to click on this button, and on the new tab is going to open your live website that users are going to see. So you can see this is the form here. Okay. Now, for example, if I put up my name, Anil, and just a random email, this@gmail.com. Okay. This is the correct format of an email. For example, if I remove this here, and if I try to submit this form, you see, please include @ because it's just checking the format of my email. Now, if I also if I try to submit a real email, hello@gmail.com, okay, and if I try to submit here, let's see the success message here. For example, if I click on submit, and you can see we have a success message. This is the success state. Now, if I reload my website here, now let's for example, if I run into some error, for example, if I disable my internet for a second, and if I just submit submit Aaron, and just aaron@gmail.com, okay, this is your email. For example, if you submit now, you can see there's an error message here because something went wrong. Maybe your internet is wrong, maybe something wrong with the website, maybe something wrong with the hosting, or many other reasons. If I enable my internet here, and then let's go back to the forms. Now let's add different elements to your form. For example, if I go to the add section, and if I go to the forms area, maybe we can work with the checkbox, and let's add a checkbox here, and maybe you can say mail, or maybe for here also we can say it like a mail, or maybe we can add one more checkbox here. Female, okay, and here also female. And you can see we can use checkboxes like this. For example, we can also, for the checkbox setting, we can have like a custom setting or default setting of this little box here. We can set it to required, or we can make it default checked. For example, if somebody comes to this one, this is by default checked, and if I remove this, you can check all of this element, or we can just put it to required, okay, any one of it. Now we can also play around with some other elements. For example, this select element, okay, if I just click here, and if I go down to this select element, and if I put it here, you can see we have multiple choice drop down here. For example, option 1, option 2, option 3. And if I preview this, we can use this multiple choice for many other purposes. Now, if I go to the settings of multiple choice here, you can see we can add a new choice here, okay, or we can just edit their names and their values. And whatever you write inside the value is going to be submitted inside the form. For example, this is choose one. If I just say apple, banana, or I just remove here. Now whatever I say in the field, in the value here, is going to be submitted inside the form. For example, for this one, I write text is banana. Banana, this text is what you see on the front. For example, this is banana. For example, if I select this field and submit the form, what's going to happen is if you go again to the settings and into the choice, the value is going to be submitted. Whatever we write here is going to be submitted into the form. Now let's see what happens when we submit this form and where this data is being collected. For that, what we can do, in the top left corner, if I click on the Webflow logo, you can see we have different options here, and we can go to the site settings. From here, in the forms area, you can see we have sender name, we have sent from the submission to, we have subject line, whatever the subject reply to, we have kind of email template, we have reCAPTCHA. All of these kind of like advanced settings, we are definitely going to learn about these settings and how you can use these settings for your website. And for now, if we go down to the screen here, you can see we have our submissions here. This is the data that we submitted. Okay, we can download this data into a CSV Excel sheet with this download button. Remember one thing, that by default, Webflow with the free version gives you 50 submissions. If you want more submissions, you have to add a site plan to your website, like a paid hosting. So this is how the data has been collected, and it will give you a CSV format. We can also delete all of this data, and we are definitely going to learn about these formats. There are a lot more to the forms, and those fields are like bit advanced, and we are definitely going to work around with that. But for now, for the basic understanding of the forms, this is enough. See you in the next video.